Alright, so I'm going to be working on this gun tonight. I'm going to call it the Magpull GMP Professional Training System. I guess that's what it's for. First things on this gun, there is some pull for safety. I don't know if that's connected without testing. And then we've got semi, which is, it's okay of a trigger pull and full auto. But the thing about this trigger pull is it's so stiff. I do not like that. So there'll be some testing modification on that, but I just want to kind of show the differences in mine. This is my Polar Star Scar H SSR, and here's the safety. You can barely even pull it. Put it on semi, and that would be the same for full auto. But you can see that it's nice and crisp on the trigger pull. And then here's one of my M16s. Switch to safety. Can't even really pull it. Semi. I mean, that's really as far as you can pull it. So you can see I do like to have my triggers pretty close, but they're very easy to move. They're all modified in a way that the press of them is really soft. It's not like this. This is tough. So definitely going to work on that. This is how I received the sight. Just kind of show that it is cracked right here. I don't know how well you can see that. But just that part of it, I think that was already cracked, he said. But okay, so let's go over the gun actually. Start taking it apart and looking it over. I took off the back plate already, pulled out the 3-cell, and I've noticed that it's 11.1. It says 2.0, so it's 2,000 mAh, 15 to 25 C discharge. Usually what I do is I take the number 15 multiplied by 2,000 is going to give you the amperage divided by, I think it's 1,000. So basically this will cover 30 amps from what I remember. So it's all based on how much the motor in this whole system is working using. When you put it in a bigger battery, especially like this, it will tell you if your amperage is even higher than that on your usage. My watt meter would say amperage usage with your battery. So usually when I do a test, I use a big battery so that I know you're getting the maximum amount of torque for your motor here. Okay, so I just thought that was kind of interesting because it's kind of small, so I'll have to remember to check that. It's the reason why I make videos, so I remember these things. Here's a MRF MOSFET. This is the 3.2 in comparison to this MOSFET right here. It also says 3.2 on it. That's kind of funky. No, I don't know why it says that, but it really does say that. And the size is pretty much comparable. This is Dean's on both sides with gate wires as well. And the cool thing about this is that it's detachable and has active braking. It's very well designed, you can tell. It works by lights and it doesn't work by the motor clicking over here. This has multiple settings. It also has where you can cut off your battery. Where's that at? Right here. This is a LiPo battery, low voltage alarm basically. You can see right here. So this is already kind of in here and will cut off automatically. So that's kind of a cool feature. So we're going to put this down, and I started working on your mags, not doing anything, just putting them in, seeing what's going on. I like to look over the whole gun. Took off the sight. I have to say overall this is pretty nice feel. It's got the nice tactical light switch at the top. This feels like a really good, awesome, well made together the way it looks. So first things first is putting in the magazine. It's kind of iffy. You have to do this with it to get it in, and I would not like that up on the field. You're getting shot at or something. You go to switch. You basically have to have a skill of going back and forth And I think the reason is because if you look at the tips of these right here, they're kind of getting grinded down, which means that the hop-up unit is not all the way forward. So put these down here, and I think we'll just start taking the rifle apart. So I start with this pin right here, and by hand I can really move it because I like that. The pin is very easy to take off. So I'll slide this. And the interesting thing I found out right here is that there is a piece of tape in the front of the gearbox, but the way it's taped is very interesting because it's just to block your hop-up chamber. So here's your hop-up chamber. And the way this gets inserted is it comes in and it's just to make it real even. Okay. However, like we've already seen, it's kind of hard to insert the magazine. So if this needs to come back a little bit, we can modify the gearbox pretty easily. We can grind down this whole area right here if we need to work on that. So we're going to have to look and see. But what I thought was there was tape being put on to make it go into the magazine. So, or make the magazine go inside. So if we look at the magazine here, there's filing right here because it's not all the way forward is what it looks like. So it looks like it needs to go forward a little bit of a spacer. So we're going to look at that and see what's going on. We need to start taking things apart to compare how it all comes together. So we're going to go ahead and disassemble this real quick. Set these aside. Pop that back in. Turn this over. The screw here has been a little bit stripped. You want to be careful when taking something apart. This is going to be the first time I have opened this. And it looks like the screws right here have been unscrewed a little bit, just a little bit. My screwdrivers are pretty stiff, and that screw came undone really easy on. This thing actually holding on plate. That might not be a good thing. We'll find out. So this is just coming very slowly. He's coming straight. Okay, interesting. Where do you want to keep the motor right? Keep screws in the same spot. Motor right spot. One here from the middle cell here, which means 1 millimeter. Okay, so go ahead and motor these. Motor tabs on and angle. It's straight on. It's not your angle. So it's a little bit dirty. It's a little shiny. That's a good thing. So take it out. Carefully, you don't want to snap these because they're probably miskeep. Just gonna get pulled out. Okay, these are pretty dirty. Kind of how it needs. I've seen nothing sanded. See if they're soldered properly. It's okay. Probably requires a fire. I'm sure so I would pull this out. And I gotta say, it doesn't look in that bad shape. I still have some new opinion. It's a bit of worn. Not sure why it's new opinion. Brushes look to be pretty good shape. Some jacking off. Nope. Down a minute. Doesn't look bad. Get rid of the doors on the outside. Get the inside. Pull this off here. Well, get these screws. You can't see, but it also looks like screws. Nobody in the screwdriver. I just pull that here. Make sure I'm clipping that. So careful. We're going to see if I can spot those inside. This is actually the main spot. So if I set that generally. What's the word with that? Let's take them. I'm sure this is the. Let's take the other two. Yeah, looks like beans. No beans. I don't move at all. Flash it. Oh, there we go. I see lots of them. Is he taking here? This one is just right. This connection to the side. The dirt gets hot. Some right here. Right here. Just slice assembly out. I hate these because I don't even want to see. I'll get the knees on these. White crust. Overall, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad. Okay, so pull this out. Reason is I can probably just use. I think these are just 2 bars. I can probably okay, just try mine. Once I out first, that was it. Alright, let's go ahead and try these off now. Yeah, it doesn't seem to untighten me properly. These screws seem like they might strip a little bit. Not too bad. Use a screwdriver. I'm working on this. Start to here. These ones that fit properly. Start to strip the hell out of these. Alright. So keep that black and gray. I'm going to note this on camera in case I forget to check. The screws fit. Here only, you can see. I need to check to see if they have the wiring on the inside. I want to check the wiring resistance on the multimeter too. I'll spot this in out back. And if you want to pop this one, it's starting to pop out this way. I don't know if I'm going to do this. Yes, like this. And then just take this out. Try to pull these wires very gentle. And there's the loose gearbox. Alright. Looks pretty nice. This is okay. Checking inside here. Put that aside. Again, so we're fine. Here's contact here. The trigger. Contacts don't have that. So, seems like I could swear the trigger shell from the trigger right here lost some resistance. It feels like there was resistance while I was locked down in the gun body. And there isn't now. I can swear that's what it feels like. So, piston is near the front. How far to the front? I can tell you right now. Also, the exact tip. The air nozzle's popped a little bit. During the cycle, so we're going to rewind that. Just on the outside, everything I do not like. This is a pretty nice gearbox. I was thinking about one of these G-build. If I can use first come up though, might come from use. We'll check that out too. Okay, so first things first, pop the answer flash. And you got screwdriver. Section called screwdriver. That's the called screwdriver. Right, that's all the board. So we got this. So we got this. I'm starting doing all these. Thankfully, I already have X this already. How crazy is that? That's because this is actually one of the works for a while. Gearbox is the same thing. I thought there was a washer in here, little locking washers, and one came flying at me. These are tight, really freaking tight. I'm sitting my screws up so I'm not getting back up. Really freaking tight. Okay, now it's upstairs. You should get these screws to lock that tight. Getting excited to see what's inside this thing. Let's see. Alright, got that all organized. Pop her off. This guy does seem to know his parts. I see some really good parts here. Wow. Gearbox looks really awesome looking. I like shiny parts, you know, and that's pretty damn shiny. Feels like a 130. And this looks like it was kind of like a garter, but it is not. This seems like a very awesome, like a very nice spring guide. Okay, let's look on the inside here. A lot of freaking awesome parts. You've got some right here. Let's go ahead and zip up. Okay, so right here we've got some cutting away. All three of these wires are getting cut away by the motor coming in here, and just that can cause a short at one point. It's clipping these down in here. This has been pinched here, some pinching here, a lot of cutting and clipping here, maybe some pinching. So that's going to have to be worked on there. Probably rewire. The way I wired this is how I wire my guns. I take these two gates right here and I wire them out this way and then bring them to the in the body through. What I'll take is like a piece of this body. If there's not even enough, I'll grind away just a tiny bit, or here in this part. But from what it looks like, this body is not very thick, so it doesn't look like you have to do any grinding whatsoever to get a wires going through. I will look that over before I start rewire it. I have to say though, things look pretty nice. There are some shims here. There's no shims on this. That kind of worries me. There's no shims here either. Those seem to be doing really nice. They look like modified ceramic bearings. Okay, so let's take out everything and start checking stuff here. Seems a little hard to get out. Okay, the tap-up plate looks to be pretty good. There's some pre-engagement on the piston. Yeah, it's definitely been Swiss cheese-like. There's some grease in here that probably shouldn't be in the piston. Looks like that could be messing with the air seal, but it's not yet. Depending on that, it can shrink this O-ring down too. I'll have to look that over. It's been Swiss cheese, and then it's got two teeth short stroked. It looks like to me there is markings on the bottom of this piston here, like it's hitting the cylinder. Oh. Not cool. Okay, put that there. I don't see any markings in there, but sure enough, it looks like it can hit. Sure enough. So I'll have to look that over. See if it gets solid compression. So I'm going to set these parts down for a moment. And then look at this. So seems there's already an issue with the trigger contacts. Looks like there's been some grinding down here for the gear, or a gear. This is pretty stiff. I can bend the spring to what I necessarily need. There hasn't been any filing there. I'm just looking around here. I don't like the safety bar thing. Sucks. I hate these safety bars that are this kind of shape. Yeah, this safety bar's got to go. And you can pull the trigger on safety. You can see it right there. No matter where I put it. Pull it hard enough, you can get the gun to shoot. So I'm going to work on that. Check his solder in here. Soldering doesn't look too bad. Okay, so go ahead and take this off. And it looks like we have two shims on here. And none up here. There's a short stroke on the pickup side, so he didn't know to do that correctly. Wow, that's a really tiny shim. It doesn't look like there's absolutely no shims on top of the bevel, is there? Get my knife out and check that, but Oh. Oh, wow. Might not be happy with this. There's a tooth missing right here. It's gone. Didn't even notice till I turned the gear back over. There's a tooth missing right there. Gonna have to zoom up on camera to show that, but you can see right here where I can put my screwdriver. There's a tooth missing for sure. It's gone. And there's a nick on the sector gear right here by the pickup, so I was kind of trying to see if there's a reason for that. Okay, so the gun should still cycle without that tooth. I've seen it before, but it won't sound the greatest as you're cycling around. Oh, there's the tooth right there. There it is, right there. Yeah, that's definitely it. So there's the tooth. I want to see if that's because of shimming. I can tell you pretty quickly if it is or not. So here's the gear washed and cleaned, and you can see the teeth very visibly missing now, or the tooth. And I've got the tooth right here, so I'm going to go ahead and ship this back and get a replacement. And like I said, I determined that is not shimming related, and you can see there's no marks on the spur gear. And there's really no marks on any of the teeth. I don't think this was really that old of a build. I don't think it's gone through a lot of cycles, so I'm going to go ahead and ship that back. Just so you can see clearly. Right there. It's gone. Start taking everything out here so I can work on this all I want. Oh yeah, it's pretty pinched pretty bad. Kind of look over the gearbox a little bit more just to be careful if there's anything I need to notice. Seems like to me there probably should be some checking on this, sure. It rubs over it. Possibility can stop the axle from moving a little bit. So I'll have to check that too. Okay, let's put this down here. Now let's check and see if the shimming somehow had to do with breaking that tooth or if it just broke because it's in there. Alright, first off, no shims on top of the bevel. There's reversal latch marking. Bevel looks really good on the teeth. All teeth are intact. So the only thing is the spur gear here. Okay, so let's go ahead and put it down in here. And what you want to do, if you're going to do this quickly, I usually use without grease so you can hear it. And I'll make sure that the bearings are stuck together properly. But since I can't do that, what I can do is use a flashlight and see how much depth there is for the gear. And what this does is it allows me to see, and it's hard for me to do this because I need to screw the gearbox for a second. Just one screw is good enough. Keep forgetting. If this was me, I would make these screws to be not hex. Drives me nuts. Alright, there we go. Now when you check a bearing, sometimes the bearing doesn't let you know that you have any up and down movement or if it is real or not, because what happens is it's the inner bearing piece that makes you assume that there is space. Seems that that is too tight, but it looks like there is space. It looks like as long as there is space, then it's not too tight. Okay, there's definitely space. I would say it's probably less than 0.1 millimeter, to be honest though. Take this out. Alright, next test is to throw the sector gear in and see what kind of issues we're going to have. You also want to throw in the tappet plate. Tighten all these down. Now, from my experience, if it was shimming, like I said right away it's shimming, you would see signs of it. I don't really see signs of it, so I'm starting to think that maybe what has happened is definitely down to the gear itself. You hear that? I sure do. Tappet plate can move the gear. I don't know if you can see that very well. The tappet plate is too close here. The gear needs to go down, or there needs to be shaving of the tappet plate, so that's going to cause friction right there. Now I want to see between the gears though how much of a gap there is. And I will say it does not look like this is a shimming related issue. He has shimmed it away from the spur gear, which would mean that it is properly shimmed from that area, so it shouldn't have broke the tooth. off like that, yeah, you can definitely see. So there's friction between the tappet plate, but that's nothing serious. So definitely on this spur gear there is a broken tooth from probably just having that spur gear. It just broke off, I guess. So since these are Siege Techs, I'm pretty sure you can just get a replacement of that. I'll have to send you back the gear with the tooth, it looks like. And then waiting time period will probably suck, I guess. Sorry, man, but things are what they are. This wouldn't be the first time I've seen Siege Techs broken the same exact way. Okay, so let's go ahead and start checking feeding and so forth. Let's check the cutoff right here. I'm going to check how it feeds first. Mechanically, the feeding looks perfect. Tappet plate seems to go all the way forward by checking right here on the axle. You can see that it's gone all the way forward. Look at the tappet plate, make sure it's straight. Definitely is. Seems to be okay there. So next what we want to do is see, just to show to you, the gears will still spin even with the tooth missing. So might have been didn't know that it was in there or not, I'm not sure. Okay. Turn this over here. This is shimmed over the spur gear. And what you want to do is take the shell here, put this in here. There's no friction on this side. You really have to scrape it with your finger, but if it was me, I would still put a 0.1 millimeter on top of that, but you have to check bevel's pinion first before you can just go ahead and do that. Another thing to check is take this out, flip over your sector gear here. As you rotate this, make sure that the rail is not bumped. There's no rail piece there, so it can't bump it. Alright, so you want to put this in. Before I can do that, got to pull this back here. I want to check and see when it will cut off mechanically. So as it gets here, this is the last tooth. And when it starts to lift is right in this region before the last tooth. But all depending on how how it corresponds with this. Seems to be too big of a gap here. That's probably why you might get full auto on a semi-pull. This doesn't look to be in bad condition. So there's not too much that I can see right now. Okay, we're going to have to do, it's going to take some time to do the beveled pinion. Take all these gears out. And to do beveled pinion, I probably should wipe off my hands. They're so greasy right now. What you want to do is put this in here. Put this in. And tighten this down to the grip with the body. See if there's a gap. Right now we'll see if there's a gap. I'm just going to put that back. Okay, so I only need to tighten 2 really. And this will allow me to see if there's any pressure on the bevel gear at this point. Flashlight, and there is a gap there. It's hard to see the gap from above, so what I do is I turn it over, and it's very hard to see that there's a gap. I think this might be too tight. If it's really close, what you want to do is get in here and see if you can press it up. I think this is too tight. Yeah, this is too tight for sure. So you got to understand that even though the bearings allow a little bit more space in the bushings, the fact is you can have it tight and not be able to tell when you try to touch it. It's going to look like, you know, it's still spinning all right, but see right here how it kind of stops? See how it kind of stops there? So what you want to do, on my camera I didn't even notice, it looks really nice and shiny. But what you want to do is take this apart here. Pull this off, pull this out, and what you want to do is take off just a shim, one of these really small ones. I will probably reshim this with my shim set. I don't have my knife with me on my hand. I have to go grab that, but I think I can get it without that. Geez, if I can just get under any one of these, I can get to what I need. Gotta go get my knife. Alright, so what you want to do here is just pull this stinking little one off. Just pull them all off. It's trying to be a pain. Man, that one's way too tiny. That, to me, might have been a real shim that just got grinded down from friction. Kind of looks like that. I almost want to say so. Put these 2 in here. Close it down. Now you should be able to hear, even if I hold this really tight. I mean, I can feel it. But it's hard to tell you because, or hear it because of the grease. So what I'm going to do is close it down and then check with a flashlight. But I'm very positive I should be able to see now. So what you want to do here is take now there's a little bit of up and down movement. And it's very, very, very tiny. So you want to look at the gear upside down. And now I see a gap, which you're supposed to see. So that is now I've got the proper spacing. This will go to the side. I'm going to wash my hands real quick before I put it in the body and continue.